G'day Gear Junkies, Jason here. Today I'm going to be looking at the history and development of Boss's pitch shift effects from the late 80s through to the current day. This is a video I've been planning for a while, but unfortunately one of my favourite channels, Stompbox Breakdown, beat me to it.
Loser.
But before I begin, if you like this kind of content, please subscribe. And if you want to help this channel out, you can go to the Middle Age Gear Junkie store and purchase some merchandise, or you could also support me through Patreon, where I'm uploading additional content. Furthermore, I have several other videos just like this one that you can check out in this playlist. Prior to the release of their first digital pitch shifting pedal, Boss had released a couple of analog pitch effects in the early 80s, which were the OC2 Octava and the VV2 Vibrato. The OC2 Octava here provided you with an octave below your tonic note and a second octave below your tonic note as well, but was notoriously glitchy. It didn't track particularly well, especially on your low notes where you actually really wanted it. The VV2 Vibrato had a much smaller range because it was designed to add artificial vibrato to your chords and single notes. But as I said, these were both analog and didn't have a huge amount of functionality available. In 1987, Boss released their first digital pitch shifter, which was the PS-2 digital pitch shifter and delay pedal. The PS2 has a combination of delay and pitch shift modes on here. Now, if you're wondering why it has delay on board, well, pitch shift is actually a time-based effect. If you were to copy a signal and then speed it up, the pitch will go up. If you were to slow it down, the pitch would go down. So it wasn't that much of a stretch to give it delay capabilities. And I think it's really important for this pedal because the pitch shifting abilities of this pedal are pretty poor. On the end, we have a balance knob, which balances between your dry and wet signals. And next to that, we have a feedback knob, which is for the delay. However, if you turn it up while you're on manual mode, it actually feeds back part of the signal into itself and almost creates a kind of ring modulator type sound. It's quite jarring. This pedal has 6 modes and the pitch shift modes are 4, 5 and 6. 4 is manual mode, and this is probably the most useless mode on here. So basically you can find your frequency that you want to try to pitch shift to using the manual dial, and it is very, very difficult to find something that is usable. And the last 2 modes are octave up and octave down. Now the PS2 has very limited pitch shifting abilities. It's only 12-bit, so you get a lot of digital noise in your signal. It does actually give the delay a little bit of character, which makes it kind of cool if you like the sort of early digital lo-fi delays. This one's pretty good for that sort of thing. But really the delay is the saving grace of this pedal. I think that when they were developing it and they realized how poor the pitch effects were, they thought we better add something else to this pedal, otherwise people just won't buy it. So these are fairly cheap on the secondhand market, and if you want a vintage digital delay, you can pick these up pretty cheap, but as a pitch shifting effect, they're pretty poor. The PS2 was made from 1987 through till 1994. That means it was made in both Japan and Taiwan. The Japanese ones are worth more on the secondhand market. In 1994, Boss released the successor of the PS2, which was the PS-3 digital pitch shifter and delay. This was a substantial upgrade. It's gone from 12-bit up to now 16-bit. We've gone from 6 modes up to 11. We have stereo out for some stereo modes that this contains, and we also have an expression pedal input jack as well. Just like the PS2, the first 3 modes of this pedal are delay modes. The next 4 modes, 4, 5, 6, and 7, are all pitch shift modes, and this is where the magic in this pedal resides. So mode 4 is a detune mode. You could do some detune with the original pedal, but it was tricky to sort of get it how you wanted it. This sort of is more intuitive. It has a dedicated detune mode, which sounds beautiful. Modes 5 and 6 are able to be pitch shifted 2 octaves up or 2 octaves down. One is fast, the other is slow. But the interesting thing about this pedal is that when we start to add in the feedback, like on the other pedal, it actually sounds amazing. It starts to add delay into your pitch shifting and creates this sort of effervescing, sparkling, cool effect. The mode that this pedal is most well known for is mode 7. In the manual, it's described as being inverse. It's kind of like a reverse octave with 4 octaves worth of range. However, when you turn in that feedback and add a bit of delay to it, it's just magical. The pedal company Caitlin Bread wrote an excellent article about the PS3. They talked about how the band Cave In used it on their album Jupiter on the first track. Also, if you check out the video that was done by the channel Pedal Partners about this pedal, it gets used almost like an instrument in itself in the shoegaze community. What a lot of people like to do is they turn the balance all the way up so that you can't hear the guitar, and you put signal into it and then manipulate the pitch and the amount of delay, and it just has this quality all of its own. It's very, very unique. Modes 8, 9, and 10 are our stereo modes. So mode number 8 is dual detune. And what it does is it sends one detuned signal out of one output and the other out of the other output. The next mode after that is detune plus pitch shift. And the last mode is dual pitch shift, where it sends one pitch shift note out of one output and the other out of the other. So you can get some really cool effects using that. The final mode, mode 11, is the expression pedal mode. So if you want to use this like a whammy style pedal, you set it to expression mode, plug in your expression pedal, and off you go. In recent years, the PS3 here has become a collector's item. I remember a few years ago, you could pick these up for under 200 Australian dollars easily. Now, you won't get one for under $3. It's more like about $350 to $400 for a PS3. Part of that is because they are very, very unique. And it's said that the Earthquaker Devices Rainbow machine is based off this pedal. The PS3 was made from 1994 through till 1999. Also in 1994, Boss released the HR2 Harmonist. Now, although this doesn't have the same initials, PS, this is very, very closely related to the PS series of pedals, and I actually believe that it is part of that family. The processor in here is very similar to that of the PS3. Boss claimed that the HR2 is the very first intelligent harmonizer pedal ever released. They're probably right. I can't think of one that came out before it. What it gives you is two different voices. So we have voice A and voice B, and these can go up or down 1 octave each. So you can have 3-part harmonies, or if you just want 2-part harmonies, you set one of them to detune mode and then you manipulate the other. On the end here, you can choose your key, but it doesn't have all of your sharps and flats, so you can't use just any key. You can only use the ones that this pedal has preset into it. Also, I'd have to say that the tracking on this pedal can be a bit funny at times. It's not always spot on. Pitch shift effects like this usually run at the start of your chain so that they have an uninhibited signal to work with. However, what I found with the Boss Harmonist and the PS-6 harmonizer is that they sound better after drive. It's almost like they designed them that way. The HR2 was a very ambitious pedal for its day, but despite that, I think it's actually quite decent. Having watched a few videos online about this pedal, a lot of people agree that this is quite an underrated pedal by Boss. It doesn't give you every key, but it does a fairly decent job, particularly if you keep those intervals fairly close to the tonic note. The HR2 was made from 1994 to 1999. In 1999, Boss released the 24-bit PS-5 Super Shifter. Now, if you've seen some of my videos about Boss's different development eras, you will have heard me talk about the tweakability era and the digital era. Now, I've always thought that the digital era started in 2000 because that's when they started to replace some of their traditional analog circuits with digital circuits. However, the more I think about it now, the more I think there was a bit of a transitional year in 1999. So the PS pedals were always digital, so I never really counted them as part of the digital era. However, one of the things I started to notice with some of the digital era pedals is that they strip back a lot of the modes and tweakability that we saw during the tweakability era to make them just a little bit more functional. And I think that's what's happened here. I think the PS5 here takes a lot of the usable parts of both these two pedals and just strips them down to one single pedal. And that's the way they'll remain up until this present day. The Super Shifter only has 5 modes as opposed to 11 from the PS3. It does away with all of the delay modes, and we lose those spectacular delay and pitch shift modes that made the PS3 so unique. Instead, we only have a single pitch shift mode, and you use this dial here to choose what interval you want to pitch shift to. We have a balance knob here at the end so that if you wanted to, for example, tune your guitar to a completely different pitch, you would turn that all the way up. A warning on that though, it's monophonic, it's not polyphonic. This pedal has a harmony mode, so unlike the HR2, you can't do 3-part harmonies, you can only do 2-part harmonies. So you can choose your key here, and then you just find what interval you want to use, and then you have your balance knobs for your wet and dry signals. This has a detune mode, which you can manipulate with the pitch control here. Now, detune is similar to chorus, but it's not quite the same. So chorus pedals create modulation. They create vibrato by modulating the pitch backwards and forwards, making it go faster than slower, faster than slower. So the pitch goes up, down really quickly. And when that modulated signal is blended with your dry signal, it creates chorus. The difference though with detune is what they do is they down tune the second one, and it doesn't go up and down. It just stays static, or should stay fairly static. So you've got your original pitch, and then either a pitch that's slightly below or slightly above your original pitch that doesn't waver at all. So some people actually prefer that over chorus. I like it. It's a cool effect. The other two effects are T-arm and flutter. Now, T-arm stands for tremolo arm on your guitar, so you can do all your dive bombs and things like that, or you can go an octave up, you can do all of your Rage Against the Machine solos, and you can actually use the foot switch of the pedal to do it. And the last mode there is flutter, which is almost like a vibrato effect, which you access by holding down the foot switch. Now, for both that and the T-arm, you can affect the speed of how quickly it sort of goes up and back again there's a speed control here, and the third knob, when you're in those two modes, controls the speed in which it returns back to your original note. The camera I've got on the pedal is not really doing much justice to the look of this pedal. It has a very unique color. It's kind of like a teal, bluey, greeny color, which I really like. I think it's beautiful. The PS-5 was made from 1999 to 2010. In 2010, Boss bring out the PS-6 Harmonist. And this is part of the reason why I believe that the HR2 is part of this family. They share the exact same name, Harmonist. The release of the PS6 was definitely a leapfrog moment. It can do everything that the PS5 can do, only better. So if we start with the harmonies, first of all, you can choose any of the key signatures. You've got all 12 to choose from, and then you can go to either major or minor. Then you just choose your interval. It gives you 2-part harmonies, but if you go into the sections that are highlighted in orange, it gives you a few preset 3-part harmonies that you can do as well. So it's not quite as flexible as the HR2, but the processing on this is a lot better than the HR2, and the tracking, I would say, I think sounds better as well. Now, I tried to find out what bit rate this pedal runs at, and it says that it's indeterminate. We've got a pitch shifter on this pedal as well, but again, it's not polyphonic, it's monophonic. So if you try to play chords on it, it sounds terrible. Now, I compared this pedal to a bunch of other pedals by other brands that can do a number of different pitch elements. And that was one of the things that actually disappointed me about this pedal. The other was that you could kind of hear the delay signal from the time that you strike the note to the moment that it sort of kicks in. We have a detune mode on this as well. We also have S-bend, which means super bend, which is the equivalent of T-arm on this pedal. You can get the flutter effect from the PS-5 on this by putting it onto S-bend and then moving the dial all the way over into the orange section, and it gives you that as an option. Another cool function is it has this kind of tape warp where it can go up and down at the same time. So please leave a comment below about your favorite Boss pitch shifter pedals and how you like to use them, or if you never got along with this effect. I personally am not a huge user of pitch shift. I find it makes my sound very digitized, creates a bit of a delay signal into my signal chain, which I don't really like. So I'm not a big fan. In as far as the future goes for Boss, I think that if they're going to release another one, what they need to do is make one as part of the 200 series, which are those double Boss pedals that are programmable. I think it's really important with something like a harmonizer for it to be programmable, because if you're really into using harmonies, one song is in a particular key. The next time you use it, it might be in a different key, and you might be using different intervals. And it also might be able to give you different scales that just a single stomp box like this doesn't offer you. They don't offer you scales like the harmonic minor, for example, which I love using that with harmonies. So I think if I was Boss, I think the next pitch shift pedal they should come up with is something that's programmable, that's got way more options, and is more powerful. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. If you want to support this channel, you can go to the Middle Aged Gear Junkie store and purchase some merchandise, or you can support me through Patreon. The links are in the description below. Other than that, my name is Jason. Have a wonderful day. See you later.